Hello chess friends, and welcome to Zarev's chess channel, and welcome to my Nimzo-Indian defense series. So in this series we are following a very nice and effective opening while playing against d4. So it's a battle against white, so we are searching here for good continuations while playing as black. So you probably all had troubles while playing as black. I had my troubles also. So playing as black is really sometimes annoying when you don't have a good preparation, when you don't have a good opening repertoire. So I'm trying to help you out in this particular series. So in the last video we did this variation with this e3 normal line. Today we'll continue with this a3 preparation by white. This is sort of a preventing move by white, which is not allowing you to do the spinning, this common pinning idea like in the common Nimzo-Indian defense. But in order to get a better understanding of this video, please watch my introduction video of this series. I have created a playlist about the Nimzo-Indian, so you can check it out. You should really follow first this first videos, then after that you should watch this video, because they're best to watch combined. And I think when we finish this series of the Nimzo-Indian, I think you have a good opening preparation while playing as black. So let's see now this a3 line. It's really preventing line. It's not such a dynamic line, I think, but the a3 move, although it prevents something, it also is a passive move by white. It's also sort of a loss of tempo. So let's see what's all about and how I should counterplay these types of ideas. So we have d4, knight on f6, c4, and now after e6 you see white is not playing this common move knight on c3. It's not allowing you this bishop on b4 idea, which is the common idea in the Nimzo-Indian defense. So that's why here he can try sometimes to play the move a3. Okay, don't panic, it's nothing special, it's just a loss of tempo. It of course prevents you to play the bishop on b4, but when you're playing against these types of setups, you should be familiar with this Queen's Gambit declined and Benoni defense setups. So when you want to have a good preparation, when you know that your opponent is playing maybe this a3 line, you should watch some Queen's Gambit decline games as black, and also some Benoni games, because the ideas and the motifs in this particular opening line will happen in sort of a Benoni style or in the Queen's Gambit decline style. So here I'm recommending you just to continue to develop, because as I said, in my previous videos, the most important thing about the Nimzo-Indian defense, that you are playing on a healthy development. You're playing simply healthy moves, you're playing the pieces on the best square. So that's why my recommendation is to play, pardon me, here after a3 is simply to continue with the move b6. We cannot play the spinning idea on b4, but you see, because white has lost the tempo with the move a3, now we are simply faster in development. We can now develop another piece, we can develop the bishop, and here your opponent will probably try now to play the move knight on c3, and here bishop on b7. So let's see the continuation here. Of course, the common idea is to play then the move knight on f3, and the instructive game that I wanted to show you, it's gameplay by Shekhar, Surya, Ganguly against Hikaru, Nakamura. Hikaru here with the black pieces, and here my recommendations is again to simply push the pawn on d5. As I said, I've explained this d5 move more in my previous videos, so watch these videos combined in order to get a better understanding of particular opening lines. So here d5, simply cracking the position in the center, immediately challenging. Now e3, and you see now when we watch this game from an activity point of view, this bishop is perfectly fine, it's not a problem, although it's a little bit blocked out, but still we have possibilities to open the light square diagonal. The bishop's activity of the dark square bishop is also good. We can place it on d6, which will have a good coordination. But I hope you realize this bishop again is a problem. This dark square bishop of white, it's a little bit blocked out by its own pawn. So knight from b to d7 can be played, and now your opponent in most occasions will play c takes d5. After e takes d5, bishop on d3, with the preparation maybe to open the position with e4, but e4 from white's perspective is also a risky move, because then you're leaving sort of an isolated pawn, which could be a weakness in the continuation of the game. So bishop on d6, perfectly fine. Here castling, queen on c2, and now a6, preventing some knight on b5 ideas. Now our idea is to cement a piece here, probably the knight on the square e4. This is now our main target, our main positional target. In the continuation, b4 was played, rook on e8, supporting even more this square, and now bishop on b2. We have knight on e4, knight on e2. Of course, knight takes on e4 is not possible, because you lose a piece in the next move. But you see here, I think black has equalized the position in an early stage of the game, which is also a very good thing while playing as black. Here knight on e4 played by Nakamura, knight on e2, queen on e7, and you see now we have finished our development. I think the pieces are on good squares. This c7 is not a problem, because it's very well protected by the bishop on d6. We have a good attacking formation here, an active knight, also a good control of the e-file. So this is really a healthy setup here, played by Hikaru. Knight on g3, we have g6 with the preparation to play the move f5, but also preventing knight on f5, because we don't want to lose, of course, the bishop. The bishop is our best minor piece on the board. Rook from a to c1 was played, rook from a to c8. You see, simply healthy moves. I think this a3 preparation is not something that you have to worry so much in this particular line. Queen on e2, and now b5, simply protecting this a6 pawn, not allowing to take it. Rook on c2, and now knight on b6, of course with the idea to cement the knight on this very powerful square on c4. This is a really nice square now, because we have the static center setup, as I always like to mention. When you see that the position is static in the center, that it's not so possible for both sides to create dynamic pawn structures, you should search for the support of this squares on c4 and e4, because these squares are supported by this pawn on d5. So these are the main ideas of the static center setup. So knight on e5, white is also playing on his outpost. Knight takes on g3, h takes g3, and now you see knight on c4, finally placing our knight on a very nice square. We have knight on f3, rook on a8, we have queen on e1, and now a5, simply breaking through. B takes a, bishop takes on e3, bishop takes, queen takes on a3, and you see again we have now a target. It's this weak pawn. We have queen on e2, Hikaru simply took, and now knight on h2, bishop on c8. We have bishop takes on c4, but now d takes c4, and I hope you realize this is now a better position for black. We have now two connected pass pawns. We can always support this pass pawns with the bishop, although we have some dark square problems here, but they're still defendable with potential queen on f8 move. The queen can be used then after that as a defensive piece. The idea is just to simply push forward and create damage here on the queen side. So I'm not going to show you the whole game. I'm gonna send you this PGN in the description below, so you can analyze it for yourself, the whole game. But I hope you realize this is, as I said, after this move. Here we have e3. After knight on f3 and similar ideas, d5 is the most important line, simply cracking the position, simply creating a pawn breakthrough immediately, because as I said, a3 is preventing, but it's also a little bit passive and is sort of a loss of tempo. Let's see now another example. Here it's a game played by Zdenko Kozul, my landsman, here with the white pieces against Tivyakov. And here Zdenko Kozul tried after after g6, bishop on f4 was played by Zdenko Kozul. So this is also a common line which you can try sometimes while playing the Nimzo-Indian defense, to play on a double fianchetto style, which is very good. Then you have some flexibilities, like to play d6 and e5, like in the common King's Indian or in the Benoni setups, just to try to get use of these pawns in dark squares, because we have really a good flexibility. After bishop on g7, e3. You see, again, we haven't developed now our bishop through this diagonal. We have developed it now on another diagonal. But here, with this a3 move, it leaves really black the opportunity to equalize the game in an early stage of the game, although you don't have any more the positional threats to double up the knight on the pawns on the c file. But here I think you can play very nice game. Here after castling we have h3 and now d6 with the preparation to push the pawn on e5. Here bishop on e2 was played, knight from b to d7. We have castling, knight on e4, also a very nice move. Because we want to liberate, of course, this diagonal for the bishop. It comes now with the trades of pieces. Knight takes, bishop takes on e4, and now bishop on h2. It's similar now to the London system where white is hiding his bishop here on h2, but now we have really the possibility to create a pawn breakthrough with the move e5 or c5. Here, of course, that's why Tiviakov played the move queen on e7, because now it's finally the preparation to play the move e5. Knight on d2, we have bishop on b7, we have bishop on f3, bishop takes on f3, another problem, queen takes on f3, and you see now finally e5. Queen on c6, very nice move by Kozul, but here we have e takes d4, pardon me, e takes d4, and now bishop takes on d4. Queen on c7, bishop on b2, and if you take now this bishop immediately, then we have queen on d8. If you take, then we can take, and you see after potential rook on b1, we can play something like bishop on f6 and cement the knight here on c5. So you see, these are weak pawns. This will be our main targets in the continuation of the game. Rook on a2 was played. Here we have rook on c8, we have queen on b7, but now bishop on f6, knight on e4, but now knight on c5, knight takes on f6, knight takes on queen takes on f6, and now queen on d5. And again, I'm not showing you the whole game here. Black is a pawn up, has maybe also some darker problems, but here we have a very nice centralized knight. We can hang on to that. Basically, we don't want to lose here the d pawn, and in the continuation Tiviakov won this game very easily, because he is really in this top grandmaster level and managed to get use of this extra pawn. So let's see now another example. One of the ideas of white can be to play the move bishop on g5, because he has solved the problems on the queen side. He doesn't have any more the pinning chances. That's why I recommend you again to create sort of pawn breakthrough, but not with the move d5, because the pin is very annoying here by white on the black's king here on f6. Here I recommend you first to kick away the bishop, to get this bishop a little bit loose on the board, bishop on h4, and now to open the position with c5, because if your opponent tries eventually to play something like e4, this move has to be prepared, of course, but then the idea is to play the move g5 and kicking away the bishop, and then you would have two attackers against this pawn on e4. So that's why this h6 move is very important, to kick away the bishop on h4. Then you have the possibility to create a very dangerous tempo with the move g5. So after c5, d5 was played. Here we have e takes d5. If white tries something like d takes c5, then you can recapture with the bishop. After b4, it's not a problem. Again, we have bishop on e7, and after e3 you can play a very powerful move, a5. Stopping, this is this so-called battling against pawn storms. When you see that you have a pawn minority, we have here now 3-on-2 situation, you should really break this pawn majority by whites, or try to stop here this advanced pawn. So in the continuation, b5 would be the idea, but now we can simply play d6 after knight on f3, knight from b to d7. After something like bishop on e2, you see we will have a very nice square for the knight, and now the position is really fixed, like you're basically putting puzzles together. Now we have really blocked this space advantage that white has created here. So I said after this d takes c5, you should recapture with the bishop. These tempos are not a problem. You can simply retreat and try to stop white's advance. So that's why here white played d5. We have e takes d5, c takes d5, and now we have this Benoni style game, but with a little improvement for black. As I said, again, I'm pointing you out that white has lost the tempo with the move a3, and it's now a whole different position. So here d6 was played, e4. I'm sorry I didn't tell you which game it is. It was a game played by Mirsad Krushkic against Ivan Ivanisevic. I'll send you also this PGN in the description below, so you can analyze also the whole game. Here bishop on e7, and now bishop on g3, attacking this d6 pawn. But this d6 pawn is really not a problem anymore. You can defend it with many pieces. You simply should go and continue to develop your pieces. Castling, we have bishop on d3, knight from b to d7 was played, and now f4. It seems now that white has a great attack, but here Ivanisevic plays simply a6. You see, we get the use of the space advantage that we can create on the queen side. h3 was played, and now b5. Very nice. We have knight on f3, b4, knight on a4, but now very important move, c4. You should memorize really this very important motif of c4. If bishop on c4, then we can capture this very important pawn in the center. Now white has lost his very nice dynamics in the center with these three connected pawns, so that's why knight on e4 with an attack against the bishop, still with the possibilities to play rook on c8. I think white is really lost here. So that's why after the c4, bishop on b1 was played. You see the bishop is now on a weird square. The queen has lost the connection with the rook here. That's why knight on h5 was played, king on f2, knight takes on g3. Here king takes on g3, but not the problems here. Simply a5 supporting this b4 pawn, king on h2. We have rook on e8, queen on c2, and now rook on c8. Now e5, which is a good idea to create some checkmate threats, but Ivanisevic is a strong grandmaster. He played now knight on f8, solves his problems, has also a good control, because if e takes d6 happens, then bishop on d6, creating a blockade. This would be then a weak pawn, and we have also a very annoying threat here by the bishop on d6. So that's why here rook on d1 was first played, defending this d5 pawn. We have d takes e5, knight takes on e5, and now creating the blockade against this pawn, bishop on d6. Knight on c4 was played. It seems that white grabbed the pawn, but now we can simply take this pawn, bishop takes on f4. We have g3, bishop takes on g3, very nice sacrifice by Ivanisevic. King takes, queen on g5 with a check, king on h2, queen on f4, king on g2, and now rook takes on c4, queen on f2, but now very nice move, queen on g5, and in this position white resigned. So if you try something like king on h2, we can grab this pawn. We can also play very active with our rooks, so it's really an attacking harmony here by black's pieces. So let's go back. As I said, the most important line to memorize here after this move a3 is simply to continue the move b6 and then bishop on b7, to play simply healthy after knight on f6 and similar ideas. Try this pawn breakthrough with d5. If your opponent pins you, then this h6 and then c5 preparation is also very important. So I don't think that this is really the best line that white can prepare here against the Nimzo-Indian with this a3 losing tempo move, but still I think you should try to see even more sidelines of this particular opening, because I cannot cover all of these possible sidelines. I can only show you the ideas that can happen in this particular openings, and I hope you can try it out and apply in your own chess games. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video. Meanwhile, you can watch my other Nimzo-Indian defense series with some more preparations while playing as black, and you can also watch my King's Indian videos if you want to see a more aggressive way how to play against d4, and you can also watch my hyper accelerated Dragon Sicilian defense series, in which I show you a good and effective way how to play against e4. And you can also subscribe to my channel if you like this content. Thank you for watching, guys, and chess is the best, of course.